There is not a new world order coming. There is one that has actually arrived, and quite frankly, it is manifesting in ways that we have never seen it manifest before in history. Jesus could come at any moment.
New world order.
There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it.
Okay, folks, let's have a serious conversation because the subject matter that we're about to talk about is substantially serious, and quite frankly, it'll kind of blow your mind when you watch the video, especially when you consider certain details associated with this video. Now, I want to say this. Prior to all of things that happened with COVID and all the other insanity that happened several years ago, nobody would have ever thought that the type of things we saw manifested would actually manifest. Nobody thought that 190 plus countries would all, with a coordinated effort, do the things that they did. Nobody thought that there would be the type of lockdowns that we have never seen in world history. Nobody ever thought that the church would be attacked in ways that it was attacked. Nobody ever thought that half the things that actually happened would legitimately happen. And then something else kind of interesting happened. People began to realize that the predictions that the Bible made concerning particular events that might actually happen in the last day was actually very real and very true. And quite frankly, so much of what the Bible predicted began to sort of show the beginning of it materializing through different things that began to sort of take place. And perhaps the most significant variable that we have seen manifest in recent days, actually, quite frankly, in recent years, has been the World Economic Forum, who has pretty much gone out of their way to drive and push as hard as possible their Great Reset. Now, I want you to understand something. This Great Reset is filled with the spirit of Antichrist. Understand that. When we talk about Antichrist, Antichrist actually does not mean against Christ. It actually means instead of Christ. And lately, there has been a collective consciousness to replace Christ by simply allowing people to think that they are gods. And when they think they are gods, then they actually don't regard the true and living God. And we create the kind of problems that we begin to see from day to day and the type of things that we're actually seeing. We're building the modern day Tower of Babel with the transhumanism movement. We're actually beginning to create a condition by which people are being deceived into thinking they know better than God with the creation of AI, which, if you think about it, that's exactly what it is. Artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence does not necessarily mean superior intelligence. That's something else we've got to bring up. But what's actually beginning to happen is we are looking at a series of movements beginning to take place through all of these globalists that are moving our world down the road we read about in the book of Revelation. Folks, the book of Revelation tells us that there is a coming final Antichrist who will create a peaceful solution with Israel and its surrounding nations. And in doing so, the conglomerate of nations that sit making up a series of governments in Europe and probably represent regions all over the world are going to give all of their power to this final Antichrist. And when he sits and rules and reigns supreme, as people would say, he will enter into the Jewish temple and he will demand to be worshiped as God. And when that happens, all literal hell is going to break loose in ways that it has not ever broken loose before. And that's a lot to say because that'll happen at the midpoint of the tribulation. So crazy things are going to happen. We see that those things are about to happen. But I wanted to show you that there is a very aggressive movement right now to get us to that place. And this is a conversation that was had in 2020 at one of the World Economic Forum discussion panels involving the daughter of Klaus Schwab, Nicole Schwab, who basically identifies all the crazy things that happened with respect to the lockdowns as a new opportunity to capitalize on another area or another opportunity to be able to usher in the Great Reset, which of course is the world of the final Antichrist. Folks, I'm not joking when I say this. This is the world that we are about to enter into. And it is something like none of us have ever seen. Take a listen to what she says here.
This crisis has shown us that, first of all, things can shift very rapidly when we put our minds to it and when we feel the immediate emergency to our livelihoods. And second, that clearly the system, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, that we had before is not sustainable. So I see it as a tremendous opportunity to really to have this great reset and to use this huge flows, of money, to use the increased levers that policymakers have today in a way that was not possible before, to create a change that is not incremental, but that we can look back and we can say this is the moment where we really started to position, nature at the core of the economy.
A change that is non-incremental. Folks, she's talking about a change that is sudden and totalitarian in nature. She is talking about the type of change that takes place literally overnight and brings in a totalitarian regime that ushers in an era of the New World Order. And folks, I have to tell you something. We are seeing evidence of this every single place that we go. I have to read this to you because it's important, because I think sometimes reading the passage helps us to understand what's really coming, because what's really coming is no joke. And if we will continue to remember the place that we are headed towards, I think it's going to open up some doors for us to be able to better understand what we should expect and how we should be living. So let's pay attention to what this says in Revelation. It says this in Revelation 13. I'll start in verse 11. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live." Verse 15, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast that should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand and on their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or in the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And folks, I want to just say something. If you think that people are going to resist taking this mark, if you think that for some reason it's going to be something that everybody is going to resist, people are going to get in line to do it, just like they got in line to be compliant with many of the mandates that were put out, and just like they're getting in line to do the things that's necessary to overcome something that their fear continues to regulate, the fear of death. Folks, the book of Revelation in chapter 14 talks to us about an angel that comes forth and warns these people, don't take the mark, don't take the mark. And they do it anyway. And it ends up landing their souls in a place of permanent destruction. That is the world that we are approaching, and we are seeing evidence that we are approaching that world very quickly. It is mounting up. It is absolutely unbelievable, like something we have never seen before, and it's time that we actually wake up, okay? Guys, listen to me. I am begging you, please be more studious of the Word of God. Pay attention to what God is saying in His Word. Understand that the message that He has given us is serious. It's critical, and He gave it to us for a reason. He wants to prepare us for what's coming, right? Tell your children, tell your spouses, tell your families, let people know. The world is changing rapidly. We see signs of it everywhere. We have to open our eyes and act now. Now, how do we act? We study the Word of God like we've never studied the Word of God before. We get as close to God as we have ever been in our lives, if not more. and we take a stand for righteousness in every place that we can, every opportunity, whether it be in our community, whether it be in the political arena, wherever it is, we stand up for righteousness everywhere because we're running out of time and Christ could come back at any moment. And let's have him catch us doing his work in every arena of life, not just in one. God bless you guys.